Hello and welcome to the MB Om podcast, where you will learn to master the business of yoga with guests from around the world who have experienced becoming successful yoga teachers, studio owners, and much more. Now, here's your host, Amanda Kingsmith.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the MB Om podcast. I'm Amanda and I'll be your host for this and all episodes of the show. This week on the podcast, I am super excited to be rejoined by Susanne Rieker. I talked to Susanne back in the spring of 2017, and it was shortly after her and I had actually connected via Instagram and then met up while we were both in Bali. So Susanne is German originally, but she spends much of winters in Bali, and it was really awesome to reconnect with her after interviewing her and meeting her in person a couple of years ago to talk about where her business is at now, the changes that she's gone through, and some of the new things that she's kind of delved into. So the first episode we did was really awesome. We talked a lot about marketing for yoga teachers, for yoga brands. And on this episode, we focus entirely on websites. If you guys have listened to the podcast for a while or worked with me in any capacity, you know that I am a huge fan of yoga teachers having websites. Well, Susanne is as well, and she makes a great case for why you should have a website, as well as things to do and do not with your website. So she's really great at ensuring that yoga teachers have really, really effective websites. She also has an awesome offer for you guys, so make sure you listen all the way through the end. Before we dive into this week's episode with Susanne, we've got Allison here with Schedulicity's Hot Tip of the Week. Here it is.
Hello, yoga business badasses. This is Allison with Schedulicity. Using Schedulicity's automated email marketing option is like having a personal assistant who never calls in sick to work. You can save so much time by setting up an automatic thank you message, birthday greetings, time to book reminders, and re-engagement discounts for people you haven't seen in a while. This, along with Schedulicity's standard booking confirmations and appointment reminders, helps you make sure that your clients always know what's happening. Ultimately, this means that you have more time for things that you love and less time spent on repetitive computer work.
As always, thank you so much to Schedulicity for supporting the podcast, and thank you so much to you guys for checking Schedulicity out. If you want to learn more about it, you can head on over to Schedulicity.com or send them an email at support@Schedulicity.com. They're honestly my favorite booking software, and I would recommend them to any of you solopreneurs or yogipreneurs out there who are looking for something that's affordable and going to help you with all of your scheduling needs. All right, now on to today's episode of the show. Here's Susanne. Welcome back to the podcast, Susanne. I'm super excited to have you here again, to be catching up with you once again about yoga, websites, business, all that good stuff.
Thanks so much for having me again. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah.
I love your podcast.
Thank you. Yeah. And I love everything that you're up to. I've been watching you grow your business over the last couple of years since we chatted last, and it's been really fun to watch. The last time we chatted, it would have been the spring of 2017, I believe. It was a couple months after I was in Bali when we actually met in person. And at that point, you didn't have your membership community or anything like that. So I felt like a good place to start would be, can you kind of catch me up on what you've been up to in your business since we chatted, I guess like a year and a half, almost 2 years ago?
I know. I remember I was in Vietnam, actually, when we did that podcast. So that's like the beauty of living in Bali. You can do all those visa runs to exotic countries.
Yeah.
So yes, I started with Happy Yoga Marketing, so my background is in marketing, just to give some context to people who haven't heard that podcast from 2 years ago. My background is in marketing. I was working in digital advertising for, oh my God, now it's actually 20 years. It's crazy. And then I did a yoga teacher training in Bali 5 years ago and started teaching yoga a little bit. But at the same time, I started helping other yoga teachers with their marketing, and I got really excited about building websites and about all the small business stuff. So it kind of evolved organically that I started helping yoga teachers, other yoga teachers, and I realized I was much more excited about learning stuff about marketing and working on websites in the morning than I was about, I don't know, preparing classes or learning about anatomy. So that's how my business started, Happy Yoga Marketing. And wow, since 2017, oh my God, so much happened. So I launched a new course, Build Your Yoga Website. And then I launched a membership community 1 year ago, nearly, well, a little bit less than a year ago, the Blissful Biz Hive, where I teach yoga teachers all the stuff like how to build an email list, how to organize your social media updates, how to write copy, and also how to create online courses. So it's all in there. And it's slowly growing and it's really nice. It's still a small community. And so we're very close-knit and they get lots of support. And I don't know, it feels really good because I wanted to give people the chance to learn in their own time and their own pace, so you don't have to buy an expensive course and then you feel bad because you didn't really spend enough time on it and you feel bad every time you look at it. So I thought a membership would be like a better way of really giving people the chance to learn at their own pace.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so cool.
And yes, and then I rebranded at the end of last year, the end of 2018, because I was always preaching my students, get out there, you need to put yourself out there, and it's best to use your name because that's never going to change in your business. And also like to be really present with your brand. So I think branding, and today, especially online, it's so much about the person behind it. So it's so much about your personality. People buy from people they like. And if you're just like putting out a generic logo, it's like, who will then know what the person is behind it? So, and then I realized that I'm doing the same thing. So, and that when I really looked deeper within, I also realized that it was actually fears that was holding me back from putting my business under my name. So I think the fears that we all have, like, I'm not good enough. Who am I to call myself an expert, and all that kind of stuff came up a little bit. And yeah, and then I rebranded to use my name, SusanneRieker.com. Also maybe because I don't want to be limited to only the yoga world. I mean, I love working with yoga teachers and I never want to stop doing that. But I also helped other people like nutritionists and coaches. So Happy Yoga Marketing felt more restrictive.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And I feel like it's amazing that you kind of went through that process of like what you teach, because I think it's easy for us to kind of like teach something that we know, but maybe I know you've had your business for a while, so you probably started it like ages ago. And you started it also based off of like Happy Travels, was it?
Happy Yoga Travels. Yeah, I
Yeah.
started that 2013. It had a different name back then too. So I went through this whole renaming thing before. And as a yoga travel blog and as a yoga retreat directory. So yoga teachers can list their yoga retreats with me for a single fee. I don't take a commission.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense because you like changed that and then you had this like paired branding and now you've taken it a step further just to expand your business again. So I think it definitely makes sense to rebrand, and it sounds like it went really well. Do you feel like it was like pretty smooth overall?
Yes. So I was at the beginning, I had a little dip in my Google traffic, which is normal, but thankfully it's back to the old numbers again. So
awesome. That's great.
And now I get some positive feedback from my community, though. Actually, I don't think many people cared. Who cares about stuff like that? Only you care about stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing to remember when like dealing with that fear, right? Is like people who like you, like people who are part of your community don't really like care what the name is, right?
I know, it's about the content that you put out there. Yeah,
totally. Yeah. I got your email about your rebrand, and like, I was like, this doesn't change like how I feel about what you do in any way. So I was like, cool, I'm excited.
And it gave me a reason to redo my website, which I always love.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like that's a good segue into today's topics, which is going to be about websites. And I know that you run like a course and stuff on this, so you're definitely like an expert in websites. I'm curious, first off, because I think this is like one of the steps that we kind of have to like sell yoga teachers on is why do you need a website? Like why is that important as a yoga teacher?
I think every business needs a website. When you have clients and you want to attract clients, everybody needs a website. Everybody looks online to get more information. I think even if you would hire a carpenter, you would try to find some information online about that person. So it just shows that you're professional and that you're a business. And in a yoga teacher, if you want to make it your profession, you're an entrepreneur. So it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be expensive. You can, when you're just starting out, definitely just put like a very simple page online. So just people can find your contact information. And the thing is, some yoga teachers I think it's fine to start with social media. So you start with Instagram or maybe a Facebook page, but that's only going to get you so far. And now today, with all the algorithm changes, that only a very, very small percentage of your followers actually see your posts, it's even more important. It's getting so much more important that you have your own space on the web online where people can really find you. And in the best place, you also have an email list. So you have a website where you give people the chance to sign up for your newsletter and get your updates so you can get in touch with them on your terms, and you own your email addresses and nobody can take them away from you. They can't close down like, I don't know, like MySpace, or if people still remember that social network, which was really big before Facebook.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I really love that. I actually had like a situation kind of at the very beginning of 2019, like probably the first week of January, where iTunes removed my podcast from the American and Canadian podcast stores, which is like the majority of my audience. And they removed it on the basis that you're not allowed to have like, kind of like a break in your name. So basically I had like MBOM : mastering the business of yoga. And what the bot on iTunes registers that as is like, I've put in like spam or like SEO. Like lots of people will do like mastering the business of yoga : a business podcast for yoga teachers, like SEO'd. And mine wasn't that case, but their bot registered as that. So they removed me from iTunes and it was down for like a week. And it was this moment where I was like, oh my God, like most of my listeners come through iTunes. And I was so grateful that I have like a podcast page with my like, it automatically like updates my RSS feed. But it was like this kind of reminder of like, I need to have people who can access this from places other than like this big thing that I don't have control over what they do to my show.
Yes, definitely. Also, people find you on that. I mean, you give Google a chance to direct people to your website and traffic.
Yeah. I really like to think of websites as kind of like the storefront. Like, I mean, yes. Obviously, if you have a storefront, a website is great too, because people don't probably just walk by your store. But, you know, for yoga teachers or for online or for entrepreneurs, it's like most of us don't have a storefront. So it's like our website kind of is that like digital version of where people can find out everything about us.
I know, and it's such a great chance also to give some additional or deeper information to your students than you would be able to communicate in a yoga class. So I love it when yoga teachers have a blog where they share some more of their insights or learnings. And of course, today in this world, you know, you have so many opportunities online to really build a business there and like maybe sell online courses or smaller products or make yourself a name with yoga videos. It's just like endless possibilities. And I mean, no, it's not for everyone. Not everyone wants to really dive into that world. But I know that more and more yoga teachers are interested and open to that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely agree.
And you too.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in that camp. So yeah, you and I are definitely on the same page with like everyone should have a website. I actually really love that one of the yoga studio owners that I work with, his daughters are, I think they're like 6 and 4 now. But he actually bought their domain names when they were like babies, like after they were named. I was like, that's amazing. That's amazing. Like these little girls are going to have websites like, you know, much earlier than you or I would have had a website because they're like a totally different like online generation, but they're going to have websites like before they have any social media, which is amazing.
That's true. They already trademark their names as well. I think some like celebrities do that for their babies.
Yeah, for sure. And so when it comes to like putting a website together, what are some of the things that yoga teachers need to keep in mind, or like what do you need to make a great website as a yoga teacher or an entrepreneur?
Okay, first, I don't think, especially when you're just starting out and you don't really have any income yet. I mean, you probably spend a lot of money on your teacher training and you want to spend more money on teacher trainings. So I don't think you should hire someone to build your website unless you say, and maybe if you might have a friend or a brother or someone, that's great. But otherwise, if you hire someone like a designer, developer, it's really, first normally you get what you pay for. So there's a high chance if you get someone for a very low price that you won't be happy with the result. And if you get someone really good, it's going to be more expensive. So, and I think that's great when you're already established and you have money coming in and you want to everything to look more polished and more professional. Definitely get support, hire someone. But if you're just starting out, it's really easy to create a website yourself. So there's so many platforms out there that make it super simple. You don't have to code or you have to know how to program anything. And so, for example, there's Wix, which I know a lot of yoga teachers use, and I know it's really simple to use. I've never worked with it myself, but I really heard how easy it is. And there's Squarespace, which is great because it's they look so stylish. I love their templates. I think the websites templates that they provide look all very, very modern and professional and super stylish. And then there's WordPress.org, which I use and which I recommend, but it can be a little bit more intimidating. It's definitely a little bit more complex, but you also have a lot more possibilities and flexibility. So to grow in the future. And I think it's a bit cheaper too. Sometimes it depends because you have more work, of course, as well with updating everything and keeping it safe. But I always think if you have to learn a new tool anyway, I would recommend to start with WordPress. So, and yes, and you can definitely do it yourself. You can buy a course. There are many people now teaching how to build websites. I am, but many others too. And just set something simple up when you're just getting started. And even when you're ready and say, okay, but I want more, I want to have a blog and I want to have a shop and I want to sell things online, you can build that yourself too, because there's so many amazing tools.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely like a fan of WordPress as well. And I actually feel like I haven't worked with Wix, but I've worked with Squarespace, and Squarespace is pretty intuitive, like on the front end, which I think people really like. But I find that a lot of WordPress themes nowadays actually have really like great customizable features that kind of let you do it through that, like, you know, like appearance customize, where you're actually pretty much doing it on the front end.
Yes. And you have options like you do, for example, to integrate your podcasts and things that would be really difficult to do with Squarespace.
Yeah.
Probably you can't add any plugins. Yeah,
no, that's absolutely true. I think too, like I like to try to tell people, like, you know, WordPress seems daunting when you're on the back end, like, because there's a lot of stuff there, but it's once you kind of like get the hang of it, like, I actually don't feel like it's like that hard. Like it can be, but it doesn't have to be. And I feel like I've like talked through a couple yoga teachers, talked them like off the ledge with this. And they're like, oh yeah, I totally get WordPress now. And I'm like, yeah, like I was in your position like a couple of years ago too.
Yes. I know that's what I mean when I say if you have to learn a tool, like start with something, why not learn WordPress? Because you're going to profit from it for the rest of your life, probably. It's always going to be there. So WordPress is not a company. It's open source. So it's always going to be there. It's always going to be free. You have a million developers developers in the world who can support you. So I think I read one day, like at least 1/3 of all websites in the world, or the number might even be higher, runs on WordPress.
Really?
Yes.
That's crazy. I'm really surprised.
And even big companies use WordPress. So for their blogs or for some sites.
Yeah. What percent did you say? 1%?
30%.
Oh, 30%. I thought you said 1%. I was like, really? That's crazy.
No, 30%.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like they've got a good chunk of the market for sure. So yeah, okay. So we've decided like you get a website, you choose like what you want to use. We're both on Team WordPress, but Wix and Squarespace are both great options as well. Definitely like pretty much just as functional for what yoga teachers need. And then when it comes to actually like building out a website, like what makes a powerful yoga website?
Okay, first I would say try to really keep it simple. So, and think about usability. So usability means that your visitors can find their way around easily. In the end, the website is for your visitors. It's not about you, even, like if you put your information up there. So you should make it easy for your website visitors to find what they're looking for. That means also a big mistake people make is trying to be too clever or funny, for example, in the navigation menu. And what seems cute or sassy, it might just be confusing to other people. So instead, I would recommend using learned phrases like free resources or services or pricing or about. So don't make people guess what you're hiding behind your menu.
Right. So just making it like very straightforward so people don't have to guess what something's all about.
Yes. And the website structure should be really organized. It's always recommended not to have more than 7 or maximum 8 topics in your main navigation. And otherwise, it just looks very cluttered. And it's also you can't really see. People really have to start reading like every single topic. So 7 or 8 topics maximum in your main navigation.
Yeah.
What I also would like to have is to use a lot of white space and not a lot of words. Like your website, your homepage looks great. So you have a lot of white space, means it just gives it this generous feel. So white space doesn't have to mean it's white, unless white is your background color. But if it isn't, it can be a different color. It just means you have some space between elements, like between an image and your copy, or between the left edge of the browser and where your copy and images start.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the day, it used to be, oh no, but everything that's important has to be in the visible frame. But that's not really true anymore. So like when you open the website in your browser, everything that's important, that you see it right away.
Oh gosh, that seems like the impossible task.
Yeah, but it was like that, and that's back then. But that's why homepages were so cluttered. Like everything was really close together, and people didn't scroll. It was like more the approach of like having clicks, so click here to read on or something. And now that's not really true anymore. People scroll, so don't be afraid of having a long website. So people scroll when they're interested.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything that you should kind of like, because like people do land on the website, they see stuff kind of like right on their main screen. Is there any kind of like key things that you should make as kind of like, I guess like above the fold, like before people actually start scrolling down?
I think, especially as a yoga teacher, because you're really a personal brand, it's about you. So I like to see a big header image of you on your homepage, like where you smile maybe in the camera, or you don't have to smile at the camera, but that's great. But otherwise, just like that gives like impression about what you stand for.
Yeah.
So images are super important. They really make or break a website. And of course, it's great when you have a professional photo shoot. That's actually something I would recommend to invest in before you hire someone to build your website, or before you hire someone to create a logo, which is just like an expense that's totally unnecessary. So compared to professional yoga photos.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like having like a couple of like really good quality sort of like a headshot and maybe like a couple of really basic poses that you can use is really key for marketing. And I would agree, like, unless you're doing something like, I guess, like a podcast, because you actually need a logo for that, like you can kind of hold off on doing your logo, I think.
Yeah, you can just use your name in a nice font, like I used to do, like I do it. Now mine's a little bit more fancy, but I created my logo myself in canva.com. So
Canva's the best. I love Canva.
Canva is the best. And I would also use it for your header. So sometimes it can be challenging to find an image that really works across the space that's much wider than high. So you use Canva and work around, maybe put some elements on top of it, left and right, or use 3 images instead of 1 next to each other. So there are definitely ways, especially with Canva, that allow you to be creative there.
Yeah.
So that would be like the first thing on your website. And then I think, because again, it's a personal website, it's about you, but it's also about your website visitors. So I would welcome them and tell them how you can help them and what you are about. So they feel, oh yeah, this is exactly the person I'm looking for. Or yeah, this is exactly, they are like speaking to me. So they feel like you understand them and their pain points and struggles. And so don't only talk about you. I am blah, 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 and I do this, and I am great because I have all these kind of trainings. But maybe try to write a text that's more from the point of your visitors. For example, are you struggling with lower back pain? So I focus on yoga for beginners and yoga for back problems. So, I'll connect that. Mm-hmm. What you do with the problems your target audience has.
Yeah.
So that's a bit more theoretical. I don't know if it's a little bit difficult to explain right now, but.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that, though. I think it's like you can kind of build your webpage out based on like who you are and what your brand is and what you offer. And you can kind of find your like copy and your photos and the flow of that based off of like what you sort of offer. More specifically, I'm curious, you said to have between like kind of 7 and 8 max on your navigation. What are some like key pages that should go on a website?
Okay, the most important one is your about page, and where you just give a little bit more information about yourself and your background and what you do. And then you have, so if you're teaching yoga, you can have a schedule page so people can find out when you're teaching and where, an event page when you're offering workshops and retreats. Then I always recommend, I would say, a blog, but I know that's not possible for everyone because it can take a little bit more time. And not everybody likes writing, but if you do, it's a great way to really establish yourself as an expert and also to connect to your audience in a deeper way. So because you can share more things.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, absolutely. Yeah. I'm a big fan of a blog too. And I think even something I started doing on like my personal website, just because I found that I wasn't having as much time to blog regularly, is even putting like together a little post with like one of my YouTube videos or something like that. Like just some sort of content to kind of like share with people like what I'm up to.
It's also great for Google to get you more traffic. So I think as soon as you are really serious and want to grow an online business or want to sell something online, you have to find a way of creating and sharing content with your audience, like you do with a podcast. A podcast is great. A blog is something else, or you have videos. But even if you do YouTube videos, I would recommend adding them to your website, so embedding them in a blog post, each video, and explain a little bit what this video is about. So you have, you're not only dependent on your YouTube channel and your YouTube traffic or people finding you on YouTube. People can also find you on Google and come to your website directly. So and then maybe sign up for your email list or check out all your other services and offerings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely.
So that's something. And then, so blog. And then a contact page, definitely. And if you have a shop, you can add a shop as well. And of course, if you offer other services like, I don't know, private yoga classes or aromatherapy or massages, anything else, you put that on there as well. So it's always good to have, you could probably name that services or offerings and put them below that.
Awesome. So it should be about schedule if you're a yoga teacher with like your classes, a blog page, other offerings, and then contact page would kind of be like the key ones.
Yes, and events.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I guess a question for you is kind of like more of a website expert. Something that I struggle with on my website that I've tried to minimize is like I like it to just be very simple and streamlined, but sometimes it feels like there's like too much and that I need to have like a drop down from a menu tab. What are sort of your thoughts on having like drop downs from the menu?
I think they're great. So especially if you have a lot of content, definitely use them. I think the problem sometimes is, so what I like to do is have like the main point, but then also put that page in the drop down. So people sometimes only click stuff that's in the drop down and don't even click then the main topic above the drop down menu. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, totally.
So if you have, for example, a page called offerings, and it's like private yoga and aromatherapy and massages. Don't put like the information about private yoga on the offerings page, but make it a single page.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So like adding that, like,
people, you know, so
yeah. I think that's the thing I've kind of like played around with on my own website is like, okay, I want to make sure that like if somebody just clicks on the page that they've got a lot of good like value and that it looks good and that it's giving them what they need. But then also making sure like, okay, if they go there and they just click on the drop down, does it harm the fact that they haven't seen that main page? I guess that's like been my biggest sort of like conundrum trying to like figure out, you know, what are people doing when they come on your website, which it's sometimes hard to kind of think about like as a consumer, like what are they attracted to clicking on?
Well, you can check out Google Analytics. There's a heat map where you see where people click. And many studies show, and I know that from my websites as well, people don't really use the main navigation. So unless they're really looking for something specific already, but when they just come to your website to browse, they're just going to click on the first thing they probably see on your homepage that interests them. And they also don't really read. So they scan the content and then just click what looks like remotely interesting.
So make sure that whatever you want them to click on is like top of mind on your homepage is pretty much the...
That's why it's so important to put you have it as well, there's 3 offerings. So how can I help you with? Put that on the homepage and then have like a little image and a little headline and description and a button.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I was looking at your website. I like how yours is set up a little bit better than mine. It looks really cool, like how you go down and you've got your like, I need a plan, I need a website, I need support. I really like how that's set up. But yeah, that's kind of what the intention behind mine was as well. It's like, okay, here's like the 4 main things that I'd like you to click on. They're right here.
Yeah, that's because it works. I mean, today really... It's fascinating. It's like so many websites look the same or have the same structure, but that's because it works. And it also works because people recognize that layout. And it makes it easier for your website visitors.
Mm-hmm.
So I would recommend to follow that kind of structure. And also like many really successful marketeers use that. Or like Gabby Bernstein or, so Marie Forleo have this really clean layout. You have a header image. You have this, how can I help you? So I want you to do this, or this. And below that, you have more additional content. So for people who are really interested, they will scroll down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's really awesome. Okay, so that covers like the pages. And then what are some of like the biggest do nots with websites? Like what are some things that we should not be doing on our yoga websites?
I think a big issue for many people is images. So they don't really know how to handle images. So either they put really huge huge files on their website, and that can really slow down your website. So that's a big no-no. Or you have super small images or images that look blurry or really bad quality because the resolution is so low. So it's a challenge to find the balance there. But if you get it right, it's going to make a big difference to your website. It's going to look much more professional and more polished immediately. So I would always say, like, really work on your images.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that kind of comes back to like that tip of getting a professional photo shoot done, like as one of the first things that you do. And something too, like if people are out there listening and they're like, but I don't have any money for a professional photo shoot, like finding a photographer who's kind of at the same stage as their career as you, it's a great opportunity to like trade private yoga classes or something like that. Definitely like an option for somebody who's like lower on cash, I think.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And also, I have a blog post actually about how to prepare for a yoga photo shoot. And I have a Pinterest board where I have lots of images from like yoga photo shoot inspiration.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's amazing.
So Pinterest is great to do research on that.
Yeah.
So you have something to show your photographer what you would like.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I just got a photo shoot done pretty recently with a friend. And I actually did like, she's not like a professional photographer. She's just somebody who really likes taking photos. And so we actually like exchanged yoga classes for that, which was really fun. But yeah, she was like, just let me know what you want to do. Like I've never really done anything like this. And so, yeah, I popped on, I think Pinterest and just started looking around. I find too with photo shoots, like I really like some of the more simpler things. Like that's what I found from doing a couple photo shoots is like simple feels like a lot more when I end up looking at them. Like sometimes when I look at the ones where I'm like, I tried something crazy or something weird, not that I can do anything too crazy, but those are the photos that I like. I'm like, it's cool that I have this, but I don't really use them as frequently as some of the more basic ones that I've taken.
I love to see them.
Yeah, some of them are funny. Do you find the same thing, or what are some of your like top tips for prepping for your?
I'm like probably like everybody. I really hate having photos of me taken. I feel super uncomfortable in front of a camera. But I mean, it's just practice probably.
Yeah.
I've done a few photo shoots here in Bali, and I use them on my website and on social media. Yeah, but I'm not really good at taking pictures in my everyday life.
I feel like you've got tons of great photos, so I feel like I'm surprised to hear that. But
yeah,
I think it is.
But I use them again and again and again, so that's a challenge. Yeah. I would like to have a photo shoot every month, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like, and then you need like 5 outfits because otherwise all your photos are like in the same thing.
That's exactly.
But whatever. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm not like super natural in front of a camera either. Like I'm always like, does it look okay? I don't really know. Just tell me. I also find that I really, really struggled like not smiling. So I feel like even if I'm like looking away, I still need to be smiling. Otherwise I just feel like I'm glaring. But
no, it's definitely challenging. Also, like growing old in front of a camera. I don't know how celebrities do it.
I think it's called Botox.
I had a photo shoot at the end of last week. I was like, oh my God, I look like 10 years older than I did at my last photo shoot, which is, not really true, but.
We're always our own worst critic.
When I saw the pictures, I was very like, oh my God, I hate them.
I'm sure that they were great.
Well, then after a while, I was fine using them. But
yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the hardest parts.
Most of us feel that way. So I understand every yoga teacher is like, yeah, I don't want to have my pictures or something. But I've seen websites where people have like stock images on their homepage and just one single photo of them on their about page, which is probably a little bit blurry as well. And that doesn't work. That just doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So you really have to get yourself in front of a camera.
Yeah. Even if it's just doing like a couple of photos, I would agree that that's like pretty important. So other than making sure that photos are kind of like, so you want them to like not be too big, but you also don't want them to be too small because otherwise they're going to get like pixelated and blurry, using really quality photos. So maybe if you have to use a couple of stock photos here and there, making sure that they're good, that they resonate with your brand. What are some other things that teachers kind of like do maybe not the best job of with websites?
Okay, when you have your images right, so they also should be like the image size correct for the website. So don't upload a file straight from your camera to your website. That's never a good idea. But you need to resize it probably.
Do you know, is it like based on the theme, or like, is there kind of like a standard size that we should resize them to?
Sometimes of course, it depends on the theme and the place where you want to put the image. So if you want to have like a full screen header image, it's going to be bigger than like a smaller image that you place somewhere in the content. If you have a full screen header image, I normally use a resolution of at least 2000 pixel wide.
Okay.
And then the heat depends. So 2000 pixel wide is going to look nice on most screens.
Okay. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And then, yeah,
so
I guess it's
bigger. It's going to then the file size is going to be too high. And if it's a lot smaller, it's just not going to look good on a bigger screen or a retina screen.
Yeah, for sure. And I think good themes / on the back end of WordPress, you can always like, or like Divi or whatever you're using, you can always click between like desktop, tablet, and mobile. But I feel like it's really good to like look at your photos on each of them. Because I think when I first uploaded my header photo, which is like me, it was doing something really weird with the sizing because I hadn't resized it. I think it was like cutting off my head and all you could see was like my teeth. I think somebody was like, idea. Hey, by the way, I can't see like anything above your teeth. So it's just like this creepy, like smile. It's like, oh God, need to change that. So I think it's always like good to look on device, like look at that just because you can't see on any device but your own, but it's going to show up different on each different size device.
Yeah, that's a good point to definitely check your website, how it looks on a phone or on a tablet.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure everything's like there and easy to navigate and doesn't look weird.
Yeah. Make sure that you don't do what I did.
And yeah, the next point would be to write copy, which, my God, you might not, I mean, not everybody feels like a great copywriter yet. But what I learned is that writing copy is a skill that you can practice, and that there are principles and psychology that apply no matter what's your writing style.
Yeah.
So I said this before, people don't really read a lot online. So instead they scan the content. So what most visitors do is they glance at each new page, scan some of the text, and then click on the first link that catches their interest. So to help them do that, I would recommend use headlines that say exactly what to expect, use subheadlines, and then use bullet points or small paragraphs. So just 4 sentences max, and short sentences.
That makes sense. And then so with copywriting, I would definitely agree with you. Like it just takes kind of practice and kind of writing things out a couple different times till it feels like it flows kind of correctly. Has there been any like resources or anything that's been like particularly helpful for you on your copywriting journey?
What I started doing, and that helped me, is a lot to keep a sizzle file with examples of copy that I like. Mm-hmm. So, and also before when I have a task about writing copy, for example, emails or a blog post, I get inspired by reading great copy from other people. So I would probably check out a few blog posts from other people before, just to get into alignment and to get into this inspired mood set. So you can't write great copy when you're not feeling good.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Or when you're just feeling stressed, or when you feel like, oh my God, I hate this and I don't want to do this. It's going to show in your copy. So you have to bring yourself in this mindset of like, yeah, I'm excited about this, and maybe like think about your mission, like why are you doing what you're doing, and get excited about, oh my God, yeah, I want to help. This is because I want to help this. I want to put this out there, and it's such a great product. And now I'm really going to explain to you what it is about.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. I like the idea of like keeping inspiration from copy that you really like. Like, I feel like it's kind of like creating like almost like a Pinterest board on like images or whatever, like, or like a mood board based on what you like kind of gathering inspiration from other people.
Yeah, there's like a million screenshots that I take on my phone.
Yeah. No, that's like perfect though. Cause it's like, if you're resonating with it, it's something that you might want to kind of like replicate for your own stuff.
Yes. And it's fine to replicate replicate and to copy a little bit and get inspired by other people, and then you make it your own and change little things.
Yeah.
And that's how you find your voice. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like it's never going to be like, obviously like copying and pasting from somebody else's website is plagiarism. But I feel like, you know, if I look at like your website, for example, and I like the way you phrase something, like I don't offer the same thing as you. So it's obviously never going to be the same. So I think that that's kind of like something good to keep in mind too.
Yeah, I have to admit, I take a lot of my copy from other people and then edit it and stuff like that. Also because English is not my first language. So I'm very good at editing stuff.
Yeah, no, that's incredible to me that you're able to like write quality copy in your second language. Like I speak Spanish as well as English, but definitely not to a point where I could write some catchy copy. Not anywhere close.
Yeah. Well, it comes down to practice, you know, like after a while, if you would do it every day, you would probably be able to.
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely makes sense. And so I guess, so with copy, it's about being like to the point, short, trying not to keep like not having any like paragraphs on your website, like more short form sentences and that sort of thing.
Yes. And then use the friend filter. So, if you wouldn't say something to your friends, it doesn't belong in your copy. I see so many yoga teachers, and then they're like, okay, I'm going to explain about yoga, and they sound like a Wikipedia article, and nobody wants to read that. You want to read that on Wikipedia, but not on your website. So your copy should be personal and inviting and include like personal anecdotes and insights, and so you could still explain things in a deeper or more detailed way, but maybe start with a personal experience, like how has this helped you or made a difference in your life? And only after that you go deeper into the details of what you want to talk about.
Right. Yeah.
So make it really personal. So I call this use the friend filter.
Yeah, I like that. The friend filter. That's fun. That definitely makes sense. Okay. So photo sizes, quality photos, good copy, short to the point, friend filter. Is there anything else, any other mistakes that us yoga teachers are making on our websites that we shouldn't be making?
Not getting people to sign up to your mailing list is a big thing. So, and that's not really an excuse because it's so easy today. You can sign up for MailChimp. It's free for up to 2,000 subscribers. And it's a really great tool. It's really good. And that it's an email marketing tool that allows you to send out newsletters to your mailing list. So when you send out a newsletter, you can't just use your Gmail account and send an email to, I don't know, your 100 students. As soon as you are a business, you need to offer the option to unsubscribe. So that's why you need to have an email marketing tool like MailChimp, for example.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that, it's also just like copy and pasting once you get past like probably 50 to 100 people. Copy and pasting that many people on BCC just feels like wacky, right? Like there's so many things that can kind of go wrong with that. Like if you accidentally just like put that in the to form, like you're going to get a lot of angry people. So I think MailChimp
also might get problems with Gmail because they might think you're a spammer.
Yeah, which is like essentially like you kind of are spamming a little bit. Like obviously you have their permission, but there's so many things that like just aren't great about that. Yeah, I use MailChimp and I find it like very easy to use, super simple, super straightforward. I like the fact that like people can sign up on my forum on my website. They just go like straight to my list and then I can just email them really easily. Like there's not a lot of like manual labor involved.
Yeah, I use ConvertKit and really love it. But since it's not free, they don't have a free version. When you're just starting out, I recommend MailChimp.
For sure. Yeah. Are there any other ones that you're a fan of? Because I know there's a lot of different like mailing softwares out there.
I had great things about ActiveCampaign and MailerLite.
Oh yeah, I've heard good things about those ones as well. I just like started with MailChimp and I guess I haven't crossed like the 2,000 subscribers yet. So I guess I'll kind of figure out what I'm going to do at that point, if I'm going to stay there or pay for it. But yeah, I feel like all of them kind of offer something similar. So I guess it's just kind of like poking around with each and seeing what kind of serves you best.
Yeah. I mean, the ConvertKit is great because they have this tagging feature, and it's very easy to set up sequences and send out many different freebies, not only one. And so you could tag people, for example, who went to your yoga retreat. So you could tag them as customers, and then you can send out an email only to your customers who and offer them an early bird pricing for return visitors or something.
Gotcha.
Or when you do another mailing and you want to offer a last minute discount, you can exclude those people who already signed up.
Yeah.
So then they don't feel bad because now the price is lower or something.
Right. Yeah. No, that's really good. In terms of like having an email opt-in on your website, like I know there's lots of different ways that you can do that. Do you kind of have like a preference, like with a pop-up kind of right at the top, like a whole page dedicated to it?
Everything. I used to recommend to have a form on the homepage right below the header, so where people can sign up for your newsletter. And that's still great, but my experience is that actually not a lot of people are using it, and I get much better results with a pop-up. Mm-hmm. So even if a pop-up can be annoying, it just works. And I think it's only annoying when you have a pop-up that's where you have just like sign up for my newsletter and you don't offer anything else. But when it's related to the content, for example, on a blog post, and I have a pop-up that offers something that it's little bit related to the content that people just read and gives them something else on top of that for free, I don't think that's annoying. I think that's an additional service, and it's just like, yay, here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I have both on my website. Actually, I have all the things, which is funny because your answer was all of them. And I think it just came from like, I started with having a newsletter page, and then I just moved it like as a menu drop down when I got like a pop-up, and then I embedded like one right at the top, like kind of above the fold, like right on my main image. And I was like, I'll just see how they do. And I think I've also got it on like one of my pages in the sidebar, and my pop-up definitely does the best for sure out of all of those different things. Yeah. Which, yeah, I guess proof is in the pudding, but it's kind of interesting.
And you want a single page, especially if you're freebie, so you can share it. Mm-hmm. So you can share it on Pinterest or on social media. And so you don't want to tell people, go to my homepage and wait for the pop-up.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Just go to my homepage, wait about 15 seconds. Don't exit it because it's not going to come back for you.
Yeah, and that's why it's also a good idea to have it like a sign-up form somewhere on your page. It can be in the footer or somewhere in the content, because people might just close the pop-up and without even looking what's in there. So.
Right. Yeah. No, that's very true. So having it in a couple places is good, but definitely having it like somewhere where people can find it.
And of course, it's great if you offer people some incentive for signing up. For example, a free yoga video, which is super simple. You can upload it to YouTube as an unlisted video and then share the link to that video in your welcome email, for example. So, or a free ebook, something that you give them as an incentive for signing up. What works really well for me, have really, really good results, is with the resource library that I'm offering now. So I put all the freebies that I created in the last years in one place. In the resource library, and people can sign up for that.
Oh, that's a really cool idea. And they just sign up for it, and then you send it all right to their inbox?
And then they get a password and the link, and then it's a password protected page, which you can set up super easy in WordPress.
Yeah.
And so the password protected page, behind that, they have like an overview of all the freebies to download.
Oh, that's such a good idea. I love that. I've definitely seen that on a bunch of websites, but just, I don't know, I guess never like thought about doing it with my own. But I really like that idea, because it's like, especially as you create more sort of stuff to people, it's like you never really know, I guess, like what exactly people will be interested in. So I like the idea of like giving people access to everything.
And I think it could be really great for yoga teachers too. So you could tell your students, so yes, go to my website. I have all my resources there. You sign up, and then you get like, I don't know, like mantras or, like some deeper information that sometimes you just, that you talk about in your yoga class.
Definitely. Yeah.
Or videos where you explain things in more detail, where you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
No, I love that. I love that idea. And it's just in exchange for an email, they get so much value from you. And I feel like too, I think it's kind of like, I guess like at least for me, because I kind of work in this space, it's like I hear people being like, okay, you know, give the freebie away. And I feel like more and more now it's like so many people are doing that you want to make sure that your freebie is like quality. Like a 1-page PDF is like maybe going to cut it if they really want it. But I feel like something like a resource library is like, especially something that you're like adding to frequently that they have consistent access to is like such good value. Like that's definitely something I would give my email address for.
Yeah, I can't believe I waited so long before setting that up.
Yeah, I actually I just wrote that down. Yeah, I just wrote that down. It's such a good idea. I love that.
Yes. And now the next secret is create a pin for Pinterest for that resource library, where you tease, like make it like a little info image where you tease like all the content that's in there.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I love your Pinterest in general. I feel like you do such a good job with Pinterest, but I feel like creating like images on Canva again for free is like such an easy way to just create this little image, save it to Pinterest, and then have people be able to access it from Pinterest as well as from your library and save it, or from your page and save it. It's like such a good little marketing hack. Yes,
I get a lot of traffic from Pinterest, so I'm a big fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're doing a fabulous job with Pinterest. So if anyone's curious about Pinterest, I would definitely say go check out. Is it under your name now? Did you rebrand that as well?
I have two now. Yeah, I used to have everything under Happy Yoga Travels, but now I created a separate account again under my name. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I'll make sure that there's links for that in the show notes as well if people are curious in checking that out. Okay, I feel like we've covered a lot of stuff. Is there anything that we've missed that people should or should not have with websites?
No, I think we're pretty much, it's all in there. That are the most important topics, definitely.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, I feel like this has been like such an inspiring conversation for me even, and I feel like I know quite a bit about websites already. So thank you so much for your time today. And if people want to, you know, go check out what you're up to, learn more about you, your courses, your membership community, where can they go to find you?
They can learn more about me on my website, www.susannerieker.com, or just search for Happy Yoga Marketing. It will still come up.
Yeah.
And I also want to offer 10 free website reviews for your listeners. So just send me an email to hello@susannerieker.com or use the contact form on my website and with your email link. And the first 10, I'm going to send them back a personal review of their website with suggestions what they can improve.
Awesome. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much for doing that. And for people listening, I'll just spell it out for you guys. I'm also going to put it in the show notes in case you're like driving or you don't have a pen right now, but it's hello@SUSANNERIEKER.com. That's right?
R-I-E-K, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Cool. I just read it like from your email, but I was like, I'm just going to double check in case I said anything incorrectly. But again, I'm going to put a link to that in the show notes and whatnot. So in case people are like panicking, don't take your eyes off the road to write that down.
Thank you.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for offering that to people. I've seen you do the website audits before, and I feel like you've definitely got like a really good eye for like the design, the layout, and that sort of thing. So that's definitely a really generous offer.
Thank you. And I love doing them. So
yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I'm so excited that we got to catch up and chat all about this. And yeah, hopefully our paths will cross in the future sometime soon.
Yeah, best of luck with everything you do. You do such an amazing job. So thank you.
I hope that you guys enjoyed that episode of the podcast with Susanne Rieker. And one of the things I wanted to share before we wrap up is that she's actually hosting a free masterclass all about websites. And so you can join that by going to SusanneRieker.com/website-masterclass/. So it's SusanneRieker.com/website-masterclass/. That's going to be in the show notes. So if you're driving, please do not stop focusing on the road to try and get that. It'll be on the website at mbomyoga.com. And this is going to be a really cool opportunity to kind of learn more about what Susanne is all about and the offerings that she has around websites. As well, I would definitely reach out to her if you've been feeling a bit uncertain about your website and take her up on that free website checkup, I guess you could call it, website review. All right, that's all for me. As always, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Mastering the Business of Yoga. You can join the private Facebook community at Yoga Business Badasses. You can learn more about the upcoming yoga retreat that I'm co-hosting with Meghan Pherrill from Balance by Meghan at bit.ly.com/yoga teacher retreat CR. If you have any questions, of course, email me. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Namaste.